I am in the unique position of being exactly 1 year removed from where you are. And a year ago, sitting in these chairs, I could have never imagined standing up here and addressing you. Something fascinating to me about finals weekend is its unexplainable ability to make you forget certain things that you once knew. And this is not a cliche way of me saying that you're going to forget all of your other school choices and give your heart to Carolina, although that often happens. Instead, I'm talking about very, very basic things. When I walked into the foundation for my interview, I had to walk through 2 sets of doors, both of which I could not open. And so I pushed them and I pulled them, and the whole time I'm thinking this is part of a test. It was. It was not part of a test, and all of this is to say that I encourage you to treat yourself with a little bit of compassion throughout this weekend and know that you too can be here in a year. Today, I have the opportunity to talk about my outdoor leadership summer and the rigors that far exceeded door opening. This past summer, thanks to the Morehead-Cain, I had the incredible opportunity to travel to the Pacific Northwest with the Outward Bound School. And the Outward Bound School is a leadership program designed to teach you outdoor skills in an outdoor setting. And I backpacked through the Pasayten Wilderness. Here's a picture to go along, and I sea kayaked through the San Juan Islands. And so I had this transition from the mountains to the sea. Over the course of 3 weeks, 8 students and I embarked on this endeavor, and I would never leave the stage if I gave you a play-by-play experience, and so I'm choosing to share 2 stories today, and if you have any questions, feel free to see me afterwards. To provide a little bit of background, we began the expedition in the mountains, and everyone who was on our expedition came from varying levels of experience. And so some people were well-versed hikers and knew how to set up camp, and then other people had never been outside for more than walking from one place to the other. And so this was really exciting that we're all coming from different levels of experience, and Outward Bound and Knowles, the other opportunity for the outdoor leadership summer, really embrace the differing abilities and spend a lot of time teaching you the basic skills at the beginning. And so we learned hard skills such as navigation, food preparation, setting up campsites, and then other more leadership or like soft skills such as operating successfully as a group despite our diversities. By day 4, these skills were really put to the test through our bushwhacking experience. And this is not a picture of bushwhacking, as this is a picture of us mountaineering. As you'll soon learn, bushwhacking was a little too difficult to grapple hiking and carrying a camera. I think we would have all wiped out, and so I don't have any pictures of that, unfortunately. But on this day, we, as I mentioned, bushwhacked, which means hiking where there is absolutely no semblance of a trail. And so as someone who considers, and on this day, I was the group leader, and so I was in charge of getting people from point A to point B in one place. And I am someone who considers herself to be incredibly directionally incompetent. Despite these navigation skills that they were teaching me, I was still really uncomfortable in that realm. And so you can imagine that I was less than thrilled to learn that there was not going to be a trail. As the day continued, we became increasingly unaware of where we were, and we were getting tired and achy from hoisting ourselves and hoisting our group mates over fallen trees and getting scratched up by the brushes, which doesn't sound fun, but there were definitely fun elements of that day. And as our spirits were beginning to dip, I think that I was able to continue to get my team to move forward by reflecting back on aspects of the day where we demonstrated overwhelming teamwork. The first example, towards the beginning of the day, we reached an incredibly steep hill, and this wasn't a mountain in this sense, but also wasn't a hill in a sense that you could just walk up easily. And so those hikers who were more experienced or comfortable with their ability went ahead and hiked up and stopped at various increments on the hill to help everyone else. And so we'd walk up a little bit, they'd grab our hands, pull us up, walk up a little bit more and pull us up. And so they quite literally were helping us get to the next level. And so that was very special. And then later in the day, we reached a river crossing, and there was a thin log across a pretty high river where if you fell, that would be a little bit problematic. And we're carrying 50-pound backpacks. And so to fall with a 50-pound backpack would be even more difficult. And so we dropped our backpacks at the beginning of the river and then hiked across. And then those who were on our trip who were more comfortable carrying the weight went back and grabbed the backpacks and went back and forth and back and forth. And so this demonstration of compassion was really important and enabled us to carry on. And despite contrary belief, we did find the trail. And that was a very joyous moment that was celebrated with some of the best dehydrated food that I've ever eaten. So after we became really comfortable navigating the mountains, our expedition team was entirely uprooted. And, this is a glacial lake during our hiking in the mountains. We became uprooted and now began an entirely new challenge, sea kayaking. And like hiking, we spent the first 2 days learning the basics of paddling, navigating the sea rather than the mountains, and our tan lines got a lot wackier. Our hair somehow got greasier despite the fact that we were showering, which consisted of using dish soap and ocean water. That is not a recipe for cleanliness. And the soap was environmentally friendly. However, so by day 5, we were ready for a new challenge, and this challenge was not one of the terrain. Instead, it was one of us versus our circadian rhythms. We had to wake up at 3 a.m. to paddle in order to have the current be advantageous. And so in kayaking, if you're kayaking against the current, it's essentially like running on a treadmill. You make little to no progress, and we did have a day that was like that, but this was not going to be one of those days. And so we woke up at 3 a.m. and immediately packed up camp. And to paint a picture of this, imagine being in the dark, being 30 to 40 degrees, and then putting on a pair of wet skinny jeans, our wetsuits. And so that was less than ideal, but our moods shifted as we got onto the water. There was an unspoken agreement amongst our team to kayak in silence, and so we paddled into one of the most beautiful sunrises that I've ever seen. And then after 10 miles, we arrived at our campsite at around 11 o'clock in the morning, and we slept, and the sun was like our moon, and it was really magnificent. Of my many takeaways from the Outward Bound experience, learning how to cope with the stark shift from the mountains to the sea is the one that has resonated with me the most in these recent months. Because in an unfathomably short amount of time, each and every one of you is going to be uprooted from a life of familiarity and comfort into something entirely unknown. When I was sitting in these chairs last year, I, like many of you, had been excitedly anticipating college for months, if not years. And I, however, had not been anticipating the difficulty that comes with reestablishing your roots somewhere entirely new. This is challenging but remarkable in many ways, and this time of transition has been immensely impacted by my outdoor leadership experience and the overwhelming support of the Morehead-Cain community. And I would like to leave you with this. The Morehead-Cain program cares so immensely about each and every one of you as a person, and they care about you as a person above everything else, above your activities, your grade point average. And so that compassion that they show really makes this program one of a kind. This commitment is demonstrated by their ability to provide unparalleled experiences like Outward Bound and outdoor leadership summers that foster personal growth and inspire self-discovery. Thank you.